Good morning, happy Monday. Welcome to the Pitch Track Chronicles. This is where fans become family. And I am Uncle Tash. I am here with Rob. Donald has the day off. We hope he is enjoying his day. Hopefully the weather for him is much better than it is in New York. But we ended the regular season with a win. Everybody's all happy. Yeah, we lost the series. It is what it is. But there's a lot more to be hopeful for with the expectations of this team, because we are the number one seed throughout. Cleveland gave us a big help on that, as we were struggling to kind of get things going on the last homestand, last series. Pittsburgh came to play. Can't fault them for that. Pirates did really, they played really well the first couple of games. Even yesterday, they put up a fight where it was like, they actually might get swept. But do want to say that the playoff bracket is pretty much all set, and we are still standing strong. I'm still standing strong. I am not saying I want one team over another. We kind of made that clear the other day that I am not going to be playing into this game. And by Rob's head shake, he is in agreement that let's play the teams that we have. One game at a time. We'll worry about who we face. But when you're looking at this wildcard series, as we get into, because it's still not set, we still have 2 games to play today between the Mets and the Braves for the complete bracket on the National League side to take effect. So when you're looking at the landscape of this playoff run that the Yankees are set for, it's really just about the expectations at this point more than the results, because we still have another week before the divisional series comes into play. Rob, what do you think the expectations are through the wildcard series? Is this something where there's a clear, because I don't see a clear-cut path for any team that's in the playoffs, because everybody's playing at such a high level. Is baseball, I'll put it this way, is baseball set for one of the more high expectation, high level of play? Are we set for one of the better playoffs that we've seen in the last few years?
That's a tough question, because you never know.
Yeah.
We have some hot teams, but they could always just falter. How many times have we seen the Yankees just fall flat on their face in the playoffs? So anything could happen, but you look at some of the way that some of these teams are playing, like Baltimore's kind of cold going into the playoffs, but Detroit's red hot going into the playoffs. Houston's been hot for a couple of months. They took over the West, so anything could happen. And depending on what happens in that doubleheader today, one of those 2 teams could go into the playoffs, or potentially both of them. I think if they split, they both get in. So they could both go into it on a high note. Anything could happen in October. I think for baseball, it's a good thing, because you got a great story in Detroit, and you have a huge doubleheader today that's going to have huge playoff ramifications. So I think for baseball it works, but you never really know what you're going to get in the playoffs. But on paper, you should have a pretty good postseason. That's on paper, of course. It could be exciting. It could be one of the best we've ever seen. It could be terrible.
Yeah, I think the way it plays out with the doubleheader today, if either team wins both games, the Diamondbacks are out. If they split the doubleheader, that means the Diamondbacks are in, and one of those teams is out. So it's right. It was a very weird situation.
I think if they split, then I don't know.
Let us know in the chat if you have figured it out, because it's very confusing. Because I've heard it explained a couple different ways, but
I wish some of our guys from SportsWire were here because they're all Mets fans. They'd be able
Yeah, I
to,
know.
with the
Yeah, we need the
exception of
Met.
Chris.
Where are the Met fans in the chat today?
Yeah, we need
When we,
Nikki in
when we
here to.
need them, they're not around.
Oh, Nosebleed said it's the other way around. So I'm guessing that I know the Mets have to win. But the teams in the doubleheader, if they win a game, yeah, a split in Arizona's out.
Arizona's
Okay, so
out. Okay,
that's how I thought it was. I knew like if
thank
one
you.
team sweeps and Arizona gets in, that's what I remember seeing. But it was so confusing. Passon put this whole thing out, and I just couldn't remember the whole essay. But yeah, it's confusing, but it's exciting.
Yeah, it's while we are talking about the chat, let's give everybody a quick hello on this beautiful rainy Monday morning in New York. We got Jonathan hanging out with us this morning, as always, bright, early, bushy-tailed. We got Stephen B. Excuse me. We got Lou hanging out with it. Excuse me, I'm trying to do a show here. Moving along, thank you. We got Stephen B in the building. We got Lou. What's going on, Lou? Obviously, we already referenced Nosebleed. Nosebleed, how's everything going? We got Joe hanging out with us. We got Joan, as always, hanging out. Raziel, how is it going? And you are right. Slap that like button if you are watching and you are not able to comment. All you have to do is just hit that sub button, wait a minute, and you can join the chat with everybody else. And our brother Nosebleed NFE. So if you are not subscribed to the Strike Zone, please hit that sub button for him. He has surpassed 1,000 subs as we are working on that goal ourselves. And we always like to support our friends with other channels. And as this is all one big family. So you got Frederick hanging out. You got FJ. And you are really blocking my vision here, buddy. You got Egyptian Magician. You got Mr. Barrows hanging out. As always good to see you, Mr. Barrows. We got Gregory, and that is pretty much everyone that is with us right now. Yeah, the 100-pound puppy, Joan, you have no idea. But there's a little bit of a concern, though, because there seems to be a little bit of a divide amongst the fan base of who will make the playoff roster. And it leads to wonder, really, what the Yankees are going to do. Are they going to have either Grisham? Are they going to have Verdugo? But I think right now the biggest question mark that we really have to get to, that's the elephant in the room, is the situation with Rizzo. Because that really, that takes more precedent over the worry of how far we go as opposed to who's our bench outfielder. When you saw the hit by pitch in the hand with Rizzo, there was a tremendous amount of panic throughout the fans because of his defense, even though his bat is what it is. And he was a player that you had spoken on. You wanted to see him go out on a high note. You really had high expectations for him. So how are you feeling as I take care of this dog? I'll let you break it down of the pros and cons of the Rizzo uncertainty.
There's no pros to this because we need Rizzo's glove. That was evident yesterday. We saw the fiasco at first base. It's very difficult to just tell somebody to go out there and play first, especially when they haven't done it. I know Ben Rice has a little bit of experience now, but it's so that's some name you got there. But it's so difficult to just pick up a new position and get really good at it that quickly. We're gonna miss Rizzo's glove, even if he doesn't hit. We're gonna miss that glove. We don't have another first baseman on this roster, and I don't want to see DJ LeMahieu out there. I really don't want to see Ben Rice out there because that's a lot of pressure on him to say come back from AAA and start in the playoffs. We're going to miss Rizzo. If anything, we're going to miss his glove. And that's very important because this infield defense has a tendency to make some errant throws, and we need a guy out there that can make those plays. Ian Hamilton looked like a better first baseman than Ben Rice yesterday. And that's not even a joke. That's the truth. That stretch he made at first is better than anything Rice did in that game yesterday. So And I'm not trying to put anything on Ben Rice. I just don't know if you can say go play first base in the playoffs after you were sent back down. It's like the confidence of the kid's got to be up and down. So missing Rizzo is huge. I don't like the guy's bat. I think he's cooked when it comes to his offense, but his defense has been very good since he came back from the IL, and you need that in the playoffs. We have to have crisp defense over there in the infield. And without Anthony Rizzo, you're looking at some bad throws from Jazz tends to overthrow sometimes. Volpe's arm isn't the best. He tends to short arm some, so we need a guy that can pick it. And Gleyber Torres is always good for an error per game if he's having one of his days. So you need Anthony Rizzo. And it sucks that he's going to be out for at least the ALDS, but I wish they never played some of these guys. They didn't take this series seriously, clearly.
Yeah, the first base situation was definitely put to the wayside because it served nobody. No, don't start that NFT, please. But we did put a poll out on our Twitter page at Stripe Chronicle. Who do you trust if Rizzo can't play? And the options were Cabrera, Rice, and LeMahieu. So as it stands right now, with just over 2 more days to put your votes in. So jump over there, put your votes in on the poll. Right now, Cabrera's leading at 75%. Rice is sitting at 10%, LeMahieu at 15%. So it seems like Cabrera has been kind of the favorite. And here's why I think that the numbers are where they are in that poll that we put up. Cabrera's been on the team all year. It's also Cabrera also, aside from not phenomenal defense, but solid defense at first. He's gonna have his hiccups. It's not a natural position for him. But it also puts his bat in the lineup. Because that's the other side of each position. Is the offense that's going to come with it. And Cabrera, I think, gives everybody the most confidence of having his bat in the lineup. But to Rob's point, when you have guys that are still kind of a little shady on defense, there's no clear cut. Well, if Rizzo's out, just put this guy in. Because you're either going to have that misplay, not being able to scoop the ball, and it's. I don't think either of the three with Cabrera, LeMahieu, and Rice, the defense is not something you're like, all right, we can survive this.
Yeah, I guess I'm picking Cabrera out of that group, but I'm not confident in it. I want his bat in the lineup, but I need the glove. First base is a very important position, despite what some fools on the internet might try to tell you, that anyone can just go over there and learn it. It may be one of the easier ones in the infield, but it's still very difficult because look at what we had when Luke Voit was out there compared to when Rizzo was out there. Yeah. It was night and day. Look at how good our defense was at first when we had Tino. And then when we had Giambi, it obviously wasn't as good, but Giambi made up for it with the bat. So, but it's difficult to play first base. And you can't just tell someone, go over there and play it, and you're going to be good. That's not how things work. So I'm hoping that we can get Rizzo back by the ALCS if we get there. But if we have to go by who's on the roster right now, I'd go with Cabrera because I trust his bat more than I trust Ben Rice right now. And I don't want to see DJ LeMahieu anywhere near this team. But at this point, it might be a certainty that he makes it if Rizzo can't.
Yeah, I think that I'm seeing Frederick. I wouldn't put Birdie. I would leave him on the bench as a late inning, base runner, because base running for us just sucks right now, which we're going to be getting into later. I don't have confidence at first base, and I love Cabrera. I do. He's one of my favorite of the kids, but I don't have the confidence in him on the defensive end. and that's all it is. Is I have complete faith in his bat. You put him with runners in scoring position. He's not an easy out. Um, but I don't see it. I really don't. And it's the honesty of it. It's not trying to put anybody down or trying to paint this picture that, because of first base, the Yankees are going to just be kind of like a one and done in the playoffs, because I think that's far from the fact. The rest of the lineup can actually carry the deficiencies of the defense. It can also carry the deficiencies of the pitching. So let's switch real quick. Yeah, what with the whole situation with Nesta. That's a big. I think Nesta is a big blow to the pitching staff. It's not to the level of first base, though. I think a lot of people are making it out to be worse than it actually is, because we do have we have Schmidt and we have Heel, who can be starters. We also have Stroman. So once you'll have Cole, Rodon, and then there seems to be a little bit of a debate, and maybe I'll put a poll on this later today on our Twitter account, of who you want as the starter as opposed to the bullpen, and Heel or Schmidt. And let's get your gut reaction from Rob in the chat as well. Who do you think is going to have the starter role? Who do you feel is suited best for the bullpen?
Well, I don't want Luis Heel in the bullpen. I've been pretty clear about that. I don't want Stroman in the bullpen, but then again, I don't want him in the rotation because he hasn't looked very good either. But you are paying him $18 million, so you kind of need him to turn it up at the right time. Clark Schmidt's probably the best option out of the three, even though he did look a bit shaky yesterday. But overall, he's had a great season despite the injury. So I guess you go based off of who you're playing in the matchups. That's really it. 1 and 2 is Cole and Rodon. It's just figuring out who 3 is going to be. Do they go with Stroman? Do they go with Heel? Do they go with Schmidt? It should be Clark Schmidt, but I think it's kind of telling that if you would have told us a month ago we'd be missing Nestor Cortez, I don't think anyone would have believed you. Because I was saying they should have traded him at the deadline to get something back for him, because the price of starting pitching was through the roof. And thankfully they didn't, because he was great down the stretch. But yeah, we're going to miss that glove. We're going to miss that arm. Not glove. We're going to miss that arm out there, because he does have playoff experience. And that's something that is important. We'll see. We'll see, though. I think you got to go Schmidt, then Heel before you go with Stroman. But I just don't want Stroman out of the bullpen because his stuff does not play well out of the bullpen. Schmidt's would, because he has experience there. And I just don't want to see Heel anywhere near the bullpen.
Yeah, I would have to go with Heel. I mean, here's a guy that was a Cy Young contender. He's in contention for Rookie of the Year. He's been legit, but Schmidt's another guy that really came back from the IL, hasn't really missed a beat, kind of picked up where he left off. But it's definitely not going to be Stroman. I don't. The thing is, though, do you leave Stroman off the postseason roster altogether? I don't. It's not like he's only here for the year, where you don't have to worry about his mental state going into the next season. I think that's something else that the Yankees are going to be looking at while they calculate how they want to do this. So it really gets. I think the pitching gets a little tricky. The deeper you dive into it, but I would go with Heel. That would be my guess.
In a perfect world, Stroman would be good enough to pitch Game 3, because that's why we signed him, to be the number 3 starter.
Yeah,
that was the intention. Cole, Rodon, Stroman, but he's had his second half issues, and yeah, Jones, a good point. Jake Cousins' injury is also a big blow to this bullpen, because you're trying to figure out the back end. Because all you need from the starter, realistically, in the playoffs is 6 or better. Sometimes even 5 if your bullpen is really good. We got to figure out the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. Is it Hamilton? It would have been Hamilton, Cousins, Weaver, but now it could be, dare I say, Clay Holmes or Canely going to Hamilton and Weaver. So that's a big blow losing Cousins, hopefully we do get him back, but what is his role going to be? How good is he going to be coming out of the bullpen? He's missed a couple of weeks now. I don't want to see Clay Holmes either, Raziel, but right now you're looking at if you have a big four out of your bullpen, it's Weaver, Canely, Hamilton, Clay Holmes. Those are your top four guys right now, unless I'm missing somebody. But I can't think who else is there. Meza, Tim Hill, maybe. Do you trust Tim Hill in a big spot? I know he's been pretty good since we got him, but who else is really available? That's the big question.
Well, and that's where the issue, what seemed at the beginning of the discussion as, we have enough arms where it's not that big of a deal. It actually is more of an issue than we're thinking it is, because it does leave a lot of questions because of the lack of trust in the bullpen arms. And the Yankees have never gone into a season with this much uncertainty when the starters come out. How much faith we have no faith in Holmes, despite the save yesterday. So it was good to at least see him have kind of that confidence going into the postseason. But we've seen too many times with Holmes, it's very short-lived. Canely, age may catch up to him. He's got he has the experience to do it. Tim Hill is, depending on the score of the game, is somebody that you could put in there. I don't want Leiter anywhere near the postseason.
No.
I have zero faith in him. I think him and Holmes are pretty much, in our view as fans, the odd guys out for the postseason roster because it's too important.
Well, I wouldn't want Meza there. Meza stinks.
Meza was the next guy that was going to be in the.
Hill's actually been really good for us. What does he have? A 2.05 ERA in 44 innings, which is I was shocked to see that number. And Canely's been great, a 2.1. So those two have been our best bullpen arms, and then it's Cousins and Weaver. So there's your top four right there. And I know they're going to use Clay Holmes in a big spot because they used him yesterday in the 9th inning. And he looked good. So guess what? You're probably going to see Clay Holmes close some games in October, which is scary.
Well, and that's the thing with Holmes, though. It's because there was nothing on the line. There was no pressure. It's not like if he came in and he blew it, that was going to ruin any of the postseason alignment. So if he doesn't have to think about it and he could just go out there and pitch, he's fine. Which is why I don't want him near the postseason. Because if he's in a pressure situation, he's screwed. We're screwed. Because we're just going to get aggravated, and we're going to be talking about a game that the Yankees gave away because they didn't know how to manage the bullpen. And that's all on Boone. Boone is not it's not like Boone has given us the faith where if they pick a certain player and they put somebody in these lanes that they like to talk about, like they're on the highway, I don't think he's going to be able to make the right move every time. He's going to be able to pull, he's going to pull a string and it's going to work out. That's baseball, Susan. But at the same time, the bullpen is really what's worrying me. The only reason and the only pitcher that I think should be in that 9th inning is Weaver. He's the only one I really have faith in, and Canely. Those two guys. That's pretty much it for me. Because even if Cousins comes back, we don't know what condition he's in. There's too many question marks with the bullpen, which is why I think you're going to need to have either like a Schmidt out of the pen or Stroman if you can get his head on straight. They can get you that second inning of work rather than just keep dipping into the pen.
It's really just depending on who goes in Game 3, because I think that we can get 6 from Cole and Rodon. To me, that's not really an issue. It's just if we have Heel, do we think he's going to give us 6 innings? He could probably give you 6 on a good day, but if he's struggling the way he was the other day, he might not. He probably won't. So you got to figure that out. I think Schmidt is good. That's why I would probably go with Schmidt, because I feel like he, at his best, he's giving you 5 or 6 and he's giving up 3 or less runs. He's always putting you in a position to win. He's the perfect middle of the rotation arm, because he's not the best guy in your rotation. He's not obviously not the worst, but he's a guy that you know when he's healthy is going to give you 5 or 6 and he's going to keep you in the ball game. I think he's got to be the guy right now. If you're looking at the who's hot going into the playoffs, it's probably Schmidt as the 3. But I still think Heel deserves to start, because him out of the bullpen worries me with his ability to miss the plate, which is not a good ability. But when he's wild, he is really wild, and we can't have that out of the bullpen.
Yeah, and I Jared's point, it's like, which team will show up? Well, and that is a great question, because we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, and that's what makes the playoffs as stressful and fun at the same time, because it could be this could be a divisional series depending on the opponent, and as we have an idea of who we're playing, we'll be able to kind of break down the series a little more in specifics. But in generality, right now, the Yankees are built to go on a deep run, because to Raziel's point, between Soto, Judge, Stanton, Wells, Jazz, and anything from Gleyber, the offense will be fine. And it's very Jekyll and Hyde with this team. Jones' point is there's plenty of days off in the first series, so the bullpen shouldn't be an issue. But the bats I think, are going to be the key. The bats are what's going to make everything fall into place. Because if they're able to put up runs, this is what we're going to be able to weather the storm of the uncertainty of the pitching.
And that's the thing. We need the top 3 in the lineup to do what they've been doing for most of these last couple of months, which is Torres, Soto, and Judge setting the table. And you hope that Wells can turn it up, because he did go on a bit of a slump there towards the end. May have hurt his Rookie of the Year chances, but it is what it is. Stanton, produces in October, and we need Jazz to be good. If Jazz can just do what he's been doing since we got him with the bat, then that's a very good starting 6 in your lineup. And then it's just worrying about the 7, 8, 9, because Volpe hasn't been good offensively. We don't have a first baseman right now, and even if we did have Rizzo, his bat's been nothing. Yeah. And then you have left field, which is Verdugo or Dominguez, who both haven't really hit. So you need those 6 to be good, because the 7, 8, 9 in the lineup is a black hole right now. And you just hope that, I'm assuming it's going to be Verdugo that gets the starts in October, which is probably the way to go right now. It sucks, but that's the way to go. You hope he can do what he did yesterday and come through with the big hit late in the ball game. He's had a few big moments this year, but he's also the better glove. So we need that in our outfield. So you got to hope that one of those 3 at the bottom of the order can just have a good playoff run. And that's a good recipe for success. You have a good lineup, very top heavy, but you have a good lineup with the potential for a great middle of the order. You got your 2 top starting pitchers. It's figuring out who's that 3rd, and you seemingly have the back end of your bullpen figured out. Those are the recipes for success. We'll see if they can actually do it.
Yeah, and I don't want to deal with – there was a lot of drama, a lot of question marks about, George's performance in the postseason. We went into this the other day, how we were like, just miss us with that shit, because it doesn't matter. You don't look at his batting average. Look at the impact of the hits that he was able to put together. Do you think that Judge Judge with the 5 strikeout game and then the day off yesterday, it's not sitting well with a lot of fans to have confidence in him, because there is a little bit of a worry that he's kind of that little hot run that he's been on is over, and I don't buy it. I'll put that out right now. I think, look, he had a bad game, so he had 5 strikeouts, big fucking deal. It's you want to see him on base as much. You wanted to see him get to 60, which I think was what really made people more pissed off. They wanted him to reach that plateau. But as you said, he gave the league a month head start, and he still put those numbers up above everybody else. So stop with the Judge shit. Seriously, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna show up. Well, what makes this year different than any other year was another question. It's very easy. It's Juan fucking Soto. He's got protection. He's got people around him with a competent bat. They can't just take him out of the lineup and think they're going to win the game.
Well, think about 2022. Who did he have batting around him? Besides Stanton. It was a bad team, and guess what? We got absolutely thrashed, and he didn't produce in the postseason. He didn't. It's a sad fact, but it's the truth. He did not produce, but he put the team on his back all year. This year, he's got Soto. He's got a red-hot Gleyber Torres at the top of the order. He's got Austin Wells. He's got Giancarlo Stanton is still there, and he's got Jazz. So there's good protection around him, in front of him, behind him, whatever you want to say. I'm not going to listen to fans saying that, oh, this 5 strikeout game, he's October ready. Because there's fans out there that think the Yankees should let Soto walk because his base running is in the blue. So I don't want to hear this nonsense from the fans. They're overreactive. They're very reactive to what you're seeing as of, like, what have you done for me lately? Because they forget that Aaron Judge has had quite possibly the best season from a right-handed hitter ever. And now they're like, oh, he struck out 5 times in a meaningless game. Oh, he's not going to produce in the playoffs. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen in October. He can go on an absolutely unbelievable, torrid run like A-Rod did, and you're all going to look stupid. Or he can have one of his normal playoff runs where he doesn't hit for a high average, but he's going to hit for a good OPS. He's going to have a good slug, and he's probably going to have a few home runs. He's already top 5 in Yankee playoff home run history. Like, we're talking about a guy that apparently sucks in October, and he's already in the top 5 when it comes to the team's franchise history for home runs in the playoffs. He's already top 5. Come on, you talk about it. This is a guy that apparently does not show up in big moments. He could have one big game, and everyone's gonna be like, "Well, I guess we're stupid for saying he's not clutch." No one knows. Again, I said this earlier in the show. Nobody knows what's gonna happen in October. It is a crapshoot. It absolutely is, and it sounds like a Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman thing, but it is. It truly is. Very rarely do the best teams come out looking like the best team. There's no guarantee the Dodgers are gonna roll through everybody. Let's not forget, this is Ohtani's first playoffs. How's he gonna perform? This is big. There's a lot of headlines, a lot of question marks, especially in the playoffs. Anything goes. It's like that for any sport. There may be one guarantee. If Tom Brady was in the playoffs, he's going to the Super Bowl. Now it's Mahomes and the Chiefs. But there's not many certainties when it comes to the playoffs in baseball because a lot of the times the top team doesn't get in there.
No, how many times we've actually seen more times than not. Yeah, we've seen more times than not. The wild card team ends up making a deeper run. But that's too much of a gamble. I'm not taking that chance because that was the other fun narrative the last week. Should they aim for the 2 seeds? Should they aim for the wild card because it'll give them a better chance of getting of not cooling off? No, we need these guys to be rested and ready to go. This is different. This Yankee team is different than every other year, and we've it's just and like I said, we've gone into this. You just heard Rob break down the first 6 of the lineup. Is there anything really to be you're gonna be concerned about how they perform, but there's no worry that they're gonna fail because I don't think this is gonna be. I think the whole they're not gonna win a game because Judge had a rough series. Well, we're stuck with Stanton. He can't give us anything. Well, actually, his postseason numbers are better than most players on this roster. And you have a hungry, I think, and I've said it, the wild card on this roster, is Jazz Chisholm. His hunger to succeed, he's going to show up. You keep Glaber in the leadoff spot where he's been hot, and he's like, I think the light bulb went off where he's like, holy shit, I have a contract to play for. So he's got that motivation. The key is going to be going back to how the season started. Patient at bats, smart base running, knowing when to take the extra base, knowing when not to, and wearing down that pitching staff mentally. Because when you have Soto, Judge, and Stanton all clicking, you're looking at a pitcher that doesn't know what to throw next. Because if he makes one mistake, he's going to put his team in too big of a hole to dig out of, even with the question marks of the Yankee pitching. The offense, and I said it before the season started, the offense is going to define the success of this season. And this is exactly where it's come down to.
You said smart base running. That's something the Yankees don't have in their DNA.
No, and believe me, we're segueing into that as well.
That entire team
get cleaned up.
Oh, it's not going to get cleaned up. I can tell you that. Not in time for the playoffs. Just go station to station. I don't care if you've got to just take first if you're not sure about it, because this team cannot. It's not just one person. The entire team can't run the base as well. I mean, even Jazz Chisholm was a great base runner. He's made some terrible-looking mistakes on the base pad since we got him. He can steal a bag, but he also gets thrown out a lot. Volpe, not nearly the guy that we thought he would be on the base pads. This team can't run the bases, so just go station to station.
Yep.
That's what I would. Unless you're a guarantee that you can score on a double from second, or if there's like a gapper and you're at second and you know for a fact you're going to score, by all means do that. But if there's some uncertainty there, hold them up, don't go. Because we need Stanton kind of base running. Just go station to station until you're absolutely sure, because this team's tendency to run themselves out of innings on the base pads is infuriating, and we cannot have that in the playoffs. So take a sac fly if you have to. If you only have to take first, just do that. I don't want to see any outs on the base pads. And the only people that should be trying to take a base are Jazz and Volpe, and even then, I'm skeptical. Or Birdie off the bench. Yeah. That's it.
No, we don't have that confidence in the speed of these guys at all. And I think the biggest culprit, as much as we want to get on Torres and Volpe, the guy that really is disappointed me throughout this week has been fucking, let's call it, we call it as we see it. Soto's made two terrible base running decisions running into the out at second base. Knowing who he has behind him in the batting order. Like the first time the other day, you tried stretching it out, it didn't work. So don't try it again. He said you're not Chaz, you're not Volpe, you're not Bernie. Don't push the base. Because I was at the game with some friends yesterday and my son, and we all kept yelling onto the field. One base at a time, one base at a, we talked about this, like we're screaming for the bleachers. Knock it off with the extra base running. We're trying to steal a base, because Volpe had a terrible eye stealing bases yesterday as well. Well, it's something that just go station. You just go Stanton style. That's it.
Yeah, and people are using this Juan Soto stuff, as a reason to let's not re-sign him because he's a bad base runner. Has he ever been a good base runner? I mean, everyone wants to bring up his Baseball Savant page. Okay, hit the play button on his Baseball Savant page. You'll see he was never a good base runner. Yeah. He was also never a good defender. He's been fine in right field this year. The Yankees did not acquire Juan Soto because he's a Gold Glove outfielder who runs the bases well. No, they got him because he's a generational hitter. He and Aaron Judge have just put together arguably the greatest season by a duo of Yankee players that we've ever seen. certainly in our lifetime.
Yep.
I know you saw the Ruths and Garrigs of the world, but I didn't get to see that. So you didn't get Juan Soto for his defense. You didn't get Soto for his base running. You got him for his bat. And guess what he did? He put together a career season. He and Aaron Judge put the team on his back all season long. And there was a point where Judge was struggling, and it was just the Juan Soto show, as Donald said it, the one-man shoto. And we're going to forget about all that? Because he had a couple of outs on the base pads? Does it look bad? Yeah, but has he ever been a good base runner? No. Is this team good at running bases? No. It's unbelievable that people are now using this as a reason to say, well, maybe they should think about letting him walk and using the money to sign 2 other players in his place. The same idiots that were saying to let Garrett Cole go and sign 2 other pitchers. That's not how things work. You don't let Juan Soto walk and expect another player to come in there and replicate what he brings. Because there is no other Juan Soto. The only players you could probably bring in that would do that, we already have one of them in Aaron Judge, and the other one's playing in LA, and he's not going anywhere. So there's not going to be another player that's going to bring you what Juan Soto brings you, 400 on base. There's a reason he's done things only been done by Ted Williams. There's a reason he's called generational. And it's not because of his fucking base running. So people need to chill out with this, let him walk. Yeah, it's Twitter, Egyptian magician. It's always Twitter. People are so reactionary. Let's let him walk and sign this other guy because he can at least run the bases better. So you got to let Juan Soto go because he doesn't run the bases well? You think he's Ricky Henderson? Like I don't know. I don't want to go into a rant. I don't want to raise my voice today, but these people piss me off, man. Like they're very foolish. If you want to let Juan Soto walk, be my guest. Go boot up MLB The Show, let him go, and sign somebody else in his place. And even in that video game, I bet you'll be missing Juan Soto.
Yeah. Yeah, even there are some situations the video game can't even, unless you actually bump your sliders down where you hit everything, or you play on easy mode. That's the only way you're going to be able to use the video game to say that anybody can play at Yankee Stadium. But no, I am not. I wouldn't go that far, Egyptian. I really wouldn't. But I get your point. But no, Twitter is it's a dangerous place. It really is. I was laughing with my friends yesterday. That like we really are our own worst enemy. We want to argue with the other fan bases, but we argue with ourselves more than anybody. We're never fucking happy. We're never happy. Right? We were able to have the help of Cleveland to get the number 1 seed throughout, and we still want to go and go on these rants about how the first 2 games against Pittsburgh are games that didn't mean anything. Then they're arguing about yesterday's lineup. Why aren't you putting out your best lineup? The game didn't mean anything. I'm waiting for the game to start, and I'm going, they might as well just cancel the game. It doesn't mean anything. They have us all sitting there in the freaking rain.
They should have just conceded the game, honestly. It wouldn't have mattered because everything was locked up already. You already had the number 1 seed. The best record was locked up. There was no point in playing that game, and people wanted, why isn't Judge playing? Oh, he's got to erase that 0 for 5. Who gives a fuck if he went 0 for 5 in a meaningless game? All I care about is if he doesn't do that in the playoffs, and I don't think he will. It's really ridiculous. But there's a new age of fans out there that really want to see their favorite. I get that. They want to go to the ballpark and see Aaron Judge, but I mean, do you expect him to? What if he got hurt? Look at Rizzo. He got hit in the hand, and now we might not have him because he played in a meaningless game. So these were meaningless games, if we're being honest, because I don't think there was much of a difference between the 1 and 2 seed because we don't play well at home anyway this year. So we knew we were getting a top 2. That was a guarantee.
Yeah.
This whole series was meaningless. It was just getting some guys warmed up with the pitching and hopefully figuring out who's going to start in left field. But losing Rizzo was the result of this series, and now we don't have a first baseman. So you really want to see Aaron Judge play yesterday? Again, thank God they changed that lineup and they didn't play him.
Yep. And as call Italian Pizza say it. Yankees have ups and downs, but they did what they had to do. Won the division, got a bye, and home field advantage. Now we start. And that's exactly it. I'm. This really has been a season from hell because there were so many ups and downs. But in the long run, the Yankees put themselves in this position where even with Aaron Judge having the first month of the season where he was kind of drawing a lot of questions, some concerns. Not really no panic from us at all. We all knew what was going to happen once he got going. A month off in August where we couldn't win a game if we paid the other team off. And here we are sitting where we are. So, yeah, it does justify a lot of the concerns that fans have. I'm not dismissing that. But you have to realize that this is a different roster than we've had in the past. And when the Yankees are in the postseason, the postseason is just a different animal. Everybody plays on a different level when the Yankees are in. So it's not going to be easy. But I have as much confidence in this team more than I have any other past year because of the first six of the lineup. Because we have, Cole as our ace. We have Rodon behind him with the year that he's had. And talk about Rodon with a bounce-back year. When you compare his numbers to last year and his outings, his attitude, everything has been he's done a 180 in year two as a Yankee. The emergence of Heel Schmidt, Luke Weaver out of the pen, the experience of Canely. Why not us? Why can't this be that year where everything just clicks and we finally break this freaking drought? This is the year that we have every opportunity to do it. Stop, don't look for the negative. Look at everything we have going for us.
And again, anything can happen. Why not us? And the Royals would say the same thing. Why not us? The Orioles would say too. Why not us? That's how it is in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's open. It's 0. Everyone's 0-0 on Saturday or whenever the wild card round starts. I think what is it tomorrow?
I think Tuesday.
Yeah. So everyone's 0-0, and we're gonna be 0-0 until Saturday night when we eventually either win or lose that game, and then our new season starts. It's the first to 11. There it is. First to get to 11, where now it's different because if you win the wild card series, whatever. But we have to win 11 games to go and win a World Series. Why not us? We have the ingredients. We have the roster. Do we have the fundamentals? Do we have the manager for it? These are things that do matter. And we'll see if they can. I think they can. Obviously, I'm not going to say they can't. I think they can do it. I say that every year. Every year I think the Yankees have a chance to go win a World Series. And most years they have proved me wrong because they have not played well. But I think this year we have a very good chance to do it because we have Juan Soto. And that's it. We didn't have him in 2022. We didn't have him in 2021. In that wild card fiasco, we didn't have him in 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017. We didn't have him. We have him now. And he is a difference maker. He's a game changer. Rodon as a number 2, this is what you paid him for. You paid him to be the number 2 behind Garrett Cole. So let's go fucking take this thing.
That's it. And I don't want to put it on. You know what? I don't want to end today on a cranky note. You go Wallington Boone and the future with him and Cashman and all the BS. Because every team after today's doubleheader, everybody's stats goes back to 0, and it's a whole new season. It's a whole month. Like Rob said, it's 11 games. We can go on. Any team can go on a run, and the Yankees are just as capable as everybody else to get those 11 wins to win the World Series. And this year, the roster has been constructed a lot different than in the past. Right? We also had a full healthy season from Judge. We have Juan Soto. Torres finally found his home at leadoff where he's actually been extremely more productive than I would have anticipated. And we have these guys where you don't know who the unsung hero is going to be on this team. It could be Volpe. We don't know what his postseason abilities are going to be because we didn't get the postseason last year. We got back where we belong, and because of we missed it for 1 year. We want to say that this team is automatically shit. No, we're not. No, we're not. We have Stanton, like I said, phenomenal postseason numbers. Judge, he's got a lot of clutch at bats. Right? But we also have these, we don't know, Wells is another one. Wells and Volpe have had legitimate seasons. Big Volpe, despite some of the defense and the base running, but when you look at his at-bats, he's made a big improvement in some of the numbers from his first year. So he's still got, he's still growing as a player. He might be one of those guys where we used to say, like with Mark Teixeira or Nick Swisher, right? They'll win you, they'll get you to the postseason and they disappear. It could be the other way around. You could have these guys that are kind of mediocre through the season, help you survive, and then show up when it matters. Volpe and Wells could be those guys. You got Jazz Chisholm, who went from a team that was a laughingstock of baseball to the New York fucking Yankees. And he made a mission statement himself. You don't think he's focused? So there's nothing standing in this team's way except themselves. And I think they're playing as a very cohesive unit. And so that's going to be us. That's going to be the same going forward. Why not us? Why can't we erase the demons from the last decade and a half? This is our year as much as anybody else's. And you're not going to convince me different. You're really not. Until the last out is made of the Yankee season, this is our. It's why not us? We can get those 11 wins just as much, or if not better, than any other team. Rob, your final thoughts.
Why not us? Let's go take this thing. 28. We need it. It's been too long. We've got the best roster we've had in a long time. It's all up to them now. We've done our part all season long, breaking down this team series by series, game by game, really. And now it's up to them. They've wanted it. They've been talking it. They said they put the right team in place. They went out and got it this offseason. They got the right players, I feel like. They could have done more a little bit at the deadline, but that's another story. Hey, they got the right team in place. Let's go take this thing.
This is the roster we have to ride with, and we're going to ride with them. We have their back as long as they have ours, and they put their best effort out. Then that's all you can ask for because it's the postseason. And we've seen crazy things happen in the postseason. So it's anybody's game. And it's as much as the Yankees have as much of a chance as anybody other in this bracket. And we'll back on Wednesday. We'll have Donald with us after his little break. And we will be looking at the bracket as a whole as we get into the probabilities of how this is all going to play out in the postseason, which we will be doing from now on. We will be making time to break down the other games and seeing how everything is playing itself out. So we have an idea, or a better idea of what the Yankees are in for, as opposed to everybody else in the playoffs. Because the National League side is something to keep an eye on, because that National League team is going to face off the American League in the World Series. We all know how that works. But with that being said, we do want to thank everybody that has been watching, has been commenting, everybody watching us on Twitter Live. Appreciate you guys as well. Just remember, hop over to YouTube, hit that sub button so you can join the chat and join the family and the interactions. We welcome everybody of all fan bases. There is no bias here in the chat. If you have an opinion, good, bad, neutral, we do welcome all comments as long as everybody is respectful. So with that being said, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. And as I always like to say, wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.